Nice that you looking at Cats, a movie in which Taylor Swift has a role. Part 2. Cats uses extensive visual effects throughout to convert the live-action actors into anthropomorphic cats via computer-generated imagery. However, the production originally intended to use makeup and costumes with fur for the characters. Hooper experimented with using prosthetics to create the look of the cats due to the then prohibitive costs of VFX, but he was dissatisfied, feeling that you ended up with full-face prosthetics where you lost so much emotion. So all the paths seemed to lead me back to visual effects, when production moved to digital options. Companies like Technicolor SA subsidiaries Milfilm and MPC joined in for the visual effects. To aid this, the actors performed in motion capture suits with tracking dots on their costumes and faces. The bodies of the cat characters were rendered using CGI with digital fur blended with the actors' actual faces. In an interview with the Daily Beast, a VFX editor who worked on the movie confirmed that an early, half-finished iteration of Cats featured visible and uses. Another crew member is quoted as saying that the appearance was not intentional. Rather, it was the result of the film's unique visual effects. Ultimately, one crew member was assigned the task of editing out anything that appeared to be an anus. Substantial work on the VFX for Cats was performed at Milfilm, Montreal and Adelaide. The Daily Beast reported a troubled production. Sources within one VFX studio said that staff had to work 80 to 90-hour weeks to finish the effects by the release date. And Hooper would send denigrating emails to individual VFX artists about their work and insult them during conferences. The VFX process was reportedly hindered by Hooper's rejection of the usual CGI workflow. Rather than viewing partially rendered, play blasts of scenes to check movement before fine details such as lighting and fur were added, he demanded costly and time-consuming full renders before reviewing scenes, and told crews that real-life references of cats must be used for every movement, which someone had to point out was impossible because cats don't dance. The team spent 6 months producing the film's 2-minute trailer, leaving just 4 months to finish the entire 110-minute film. The film's visuals were completed just hours before its premiere. At the 92nd Academy Awards, Corden and Wilson appeared in character as Bustopher Jones and Jenny Dots, mocking the film's CGI while presenting Best Visual Effects. This led to criticism from the production's VFX animators, many of whom were laid off when Milfilm Montreal and MPC Vancouver closed following the film's production, as well as condemnation by the Visual Effects Society, an organization representing the VFX industry. The film's visual effects were also mocked in the 2022 Disney film Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. In a scene where the titular characters notice 2 alley cats resembling the ones in the film as they venture through an uncanny valley part of town. The film premiered at Alice Tully Hall at the Lincoln Center in New York City on the 16th of December 2019. And was theatrically released in the United Kingdom and United States on the 20th of December 2019. On the 6th of April 2019, Hudson performed Memory at the Las Vegas CinemaCon, along with a behind-the-scenes look with the film's cast and crew. On the 17th of July 2019, Universal released a behind-the-scenes featurette detailing the various aspects of production and featuring interviews with the cast and crew. The first trailer was released on the 18th of July 2019 and received overwhelmingly negative reactions from viewers. Many viewers were unsettled by the mix of CGI and live action used to portray the cats, and cited the effects as an example of the uncanny valley, with some comparing it unfavorably to the design of Sonic in the first trailer of the then upcoming film Sonic the Hedgehog, which sparked similar criticism that ultimately resulted in the character being redesigned, and the film being delayed. The studio spent about $115 million on global promotions and advertisements. Cats was released online on the 17th of March 2020, and on Blu-ray and DVD on the 7th of April in the United States. The film was released on the 29th of April 2020 in Australia, and on the 1st of June 2020 in the United Kingdom. The film's original release contained numerous CGI errors and glitches, such as one scene in which Judi Dench's human hand, complete with her wedding ring, appears instead of Old Deuteronomy's cat paw. After poor reviews, Universal notified cinemas on opening day that an updated digital cinema package with some improved visual effects would be available for download on the 22nd of December, urging them to replace the current print as soon as possible. Studio executives and cinema owners said that the decision to release a modified version of a film already in wide release was unheard of. Cats grossed $27.2 million in the United States and Canada, and $47.4 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $74.6 million against a production budget of about $95 million. Deadline Hollywood calculated the net loss of the film to be $113.6 million in the United States and Canada. Cats was initially projected to gross $15–20 million in its opening weekend. Universal hoped that the film would appeal to young women as counter-programming against Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and emphasized Swift in marketing. After making $2.6 million on its opening day, estimates for Cats were lowered to $7 million. Ultimately, the film only debuted to $6.5 million, finishing fourth at the box office. The poor performance was attributed to negative reception of the trailers, poor reviews, and competition from The Rise of Skywalker. In its second weekend, Cats made $4.8 million, finishing in 8th place. It then made $2.6 million in its third weekend, finishing 10th. The review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported that 19% of critics gave the film a positive review based on 334 reviews, with an average rating of 3.9/10. The site's critics' consensus reads, "Despite its formidable cast, this Cats adaptation is a clawful mistake that will leave most viewers begging to be put out of their new series." On review aggregator Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 32 out of 100 based on 51 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Peter Debruge of Variety called the film one of those once-in-a-blue moon embarrassments that mars the resumes of great actors. Poor Idris Elba, already scarred enough as the villainous McCavity, and trips up the careers of promising newcomers, like ballerina Francesca Hayward, whose wide-eyed, mouth-agape Victoria displays one expression for the entire movie. He criticized the direction and effects, and particularly predicted that the film would appeal to the furry fandom, though many in the furry fandom also found the effects disturbing. David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter felt that the film was hobbled by a major misjudgment in its central visual concept, lamenting its execution, such as the poor proportions of the cats to their environments, and deeming the film exhausting. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone rated the film 0 stars out of 5. Stating it was bizarre, had terrible special effects, and made the audience want to cry for mercy, while Hooper traps the actors in an airless, lifeless bubble of a film that scarcely gives them room to breathe, much less develop a character. In the Los Angeles Times, Justin Chang wrote, with its grotesque design choices and busy, metronomic editing. Cats is as uneasy on the eyes as a Hollywood spectacle can be, tumbling into an uncanny valley between mangy realism and dystopian artifice. Deb Rouge said that the film should have used face paint and lycra, like the musical. Simran Hans of The Observer agreed that many of its uncanny images are sure to haunt viewers for generations. Her one-star review described the film as a clear career low for most of the actors, wondering whether they are aware of what they've gotten themselves into. Peter Bradshaw for The Guardian agreed with the one-star rating. In a review parodying the naming of cats, he criticized the visual style and particularly the character design, while lambasting the film as a dreadful hairball of woe. Manohla Dargis of The New York Times felt that Hooper had made a robust effort to adapt the stage musical, which was always going to be difficult, particularly once the decision was made to create a live-action version rather than an animated one, and enlisted some talented performers. But that the film version suffered from a lack of the human connection that theater involves, where performers and audience share a space, without which all that's left are canned images of fit-looking people meowing and raising their rumps high in the air. The Hollywood Reporter named Cats one of the 10 worst films of 2019. Travers said it easily scores as the bottom of the 2019 barrel, and arguably of the decade, and Adam Graham of the Detroit News said, Cats is the biggest disaster of the decade, and possibly thus far in the millennium. It's Battlefield Earth with whiskers. Alex Kranz of IO9 warned, I have seen sights no human should see, but said others must witness, Hooper's, the actors, and Hollywood's hubris, citing a human being appearing in a group of cats, a cat-colored woman without fur, and other examples of how the shit's just not finished. Ty Burr of the Boston Globe's half-star review said, there are moments in Cats I would gladly pay to unsee, and warned small children to not watch the film. He reported that the preview audience laughed like the reaction to Springtime for Hitler during Dentches, the ad dressing of Cats, because each pause in her lyrics seemed to be the end of the film, at long last, before continuing. Patrick Gibbs of Slug said, there is not enough kitty litter in the world to cover up this mess. Pete Hammond of Deadline complimented Taylor Swift's performance as Bombalurina and her signature McCavity number, as well as Beautiful Ghosts, which she wrote along with Lloyd Webber. Patrick Ryan of USA Today stated that Swift makes the most of her brief screen time, bringing her unabating charisma to the flirtatious feline. If there's one thing that's disappointing about Swift's performance, it's that there isn't more of it. Hans said that she was the only actor who seems to be having fun, perhaps because she only appears in the film for approximately 10 minutes. Jennifer Hudson similarly received praise for her rendition of Memory, with some critics describing it as the best part of the film and the sole musical number in the new movie that summons real feeling. Lloyd Webber was critical of the film, calling it ridiculous in an interview with the Sunday Times, saying, the problem with the film was that Tom Hooper decided that he didn't want anybody involved in it who was involved in the original show. He later revealed in an interview with the Daily Telegraph, I wrote to the head of Universal and said, you've got a car crash on your hands unless you get a grip on this thing, a year before they made. I didn't even get a reply. In a 2021 interview with Variety, Lloyd Webber claimed his negative reaction to the film had even directly inspired him to adopt a Havanese dog. Simon Wells, who was previously set to direct the animated film adaptation for Amblimation, said that the live-action version had a lot of things about it that are not good. On the 26th of December 2019, It was reported that Universal had removed Cats from its For Your Consideration webpage. The film was not available on the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences' private streaming media platform for award contenders. Is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.